Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne Sportsnet production, available on Apple Podcasts and PodcastOne.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the mean streets of Los Angeles, California today. How you doing out there? I hope your day is going just fine and dandy, or your night whenever you listen to this damn podcast. I'll tell you what, folks, it's been a busy morning here at 316 Gimmick Street. For some inexplicable reason, I woke up at about 3:30 this morning, not having anything to do, not wanting to go make a Bloody Mary, and not wanting to get up. I just laid there in bed till about 6:30, finally got myself up. Oh, well, here we go. I'm going to take this phone call. All right, Kristen, thanks for calling. Welcome to the Steve Austin Show. How are you?
Jeez, I didn't know I was calling into a talk show.
Yeah, it's the latest, greatest talk show here in the United States of America, and also home of the greatest IPA in the United States of America, Steve Austin Incorporated. Kristen, it's good for you to call in the show. Good to talk to you again. How you been doing?
I'm doing pretty well, Steve. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, we saw you on the hotline. We've had the phone silenced for anybody else to call, and obviously we wanted to talk to you. You're our guest today. Saw you at the gym earlier. It looks like you had a great workout. How did it feel?
Fabulous.
Okay, what's your day like today? I'm in here recording to open this illustrious podcast. I knew you was going to call, so I left the ringer on just so I could hoodwink you into being on the show. Welcome to the Steve Austin Show, baby.
What a good trick.
I hit the record button a while ago, and trash trucks started zooming all over the place. And
of
now
course they are.
Yeah, and of course now someone's out there dragging the trash cans across the grass. So there's all kinds of sounds and discombobulations going on this morning. Kristen,
Well, pretty soon the gardeners are going to show up.
No. The gardeners won't show up for 2 days, and then they'll ruin me when I'm recording on that day.
Oh, I know. I was thinking they might make a guest appearance today, knowing that you're recording.
You know what? If they do, I'm going to interview them. I'm going to see what kind of lawnmowers they run, what kind of blowers they run. I might need to swap out some equipment at the Broken Skull Ranch. Kristen, you know I've got Ted Fowler on the show today. That's my guest. And it's kind of like The Rancher's Way was a podcast we did about a year, maybe 2 years ago. Me and Teddy just shooting the breeze, talking about feeding the deer, protein corns. We got all the ladies' headaches, hassles, and horse feathers from down there in South Texas. He's my guest today. Chris and I are heading down to South Texas on, when we leave, Saturday morning? Saturday morning. Looking forward to getting down there, and then we're going to do some business over there with my family there in Edna, and then we're going to head down to the Broken Skull Ranch and spend a few days of our vacation. But from the sounds of this podcast, we've got a lot of work to do. Don't hit a spoiler alert, Kristen. Looking forward to getting down the ranch, or are we just going to work our asses off?
I just want to relax.
It's going to be hotter than hell. Are you going to be able to put up with the heat because you're a weather sissy just like I am, not you've been out here in California your whole life? We get down there, it's going to be 100 degrees.
Well, we know what to expect, and so that's how we'll deal with it.
And so that's the thing, like, I love air conditioning. And here in Marina Del Rey, when I put the air conditioning on 68, you always get mad at me. But when I put the air conditioning on 68 in Texas, you love me.
Because I don't like air conditioning. We don't need it in Marina Del Rey.
I think we do. And when you're from Texas, you're always right and you're real hot. So I believe in air conditioning. I love air conditioning.
Well, I pay the air conditioning bill. You don't.
Yeah, but it's coming out of our account. You may pay the bills ever since I met you, when I'm not carrying the bills around in a hefty cent sack anymore. So I got that going for me. Well, Kristen, what's your, as we would say in the truck driver business, what's your 20? What's your location?
Lincoln.
Okay, so you're heading back to Gimmick Street?
Heading back to 316 Gimmick Street.
Okay, you got an Amazon delivery here by the mail person, and I went and collected that box as they rang the front doorbell and almost interrupted the podcast, but I hadn't hit the record button yet, so we're safe on that front. So you've got mail. Enjoy yourself. Have a great lunch. I'm going to be here in the studio, baby. Hershey's with me. Everything is good. Love you. Gotta go. Business.
Hasta la vista.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, I want to thank Kristen Austin for joining in the conversation today. That was about as impromptu as you can get, but I knew she was going to call. Here's the setup. Went to the gym about 9:30, and about 10:30 I knew I had a business call. So I went out to make that business call and told Kristen, I said, I'm just going to head on back to the house. So we took separate cars to the gym today. And every day she gets through with her workout, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever her schedule is, she calls me when she's done. So I had her set up, but she had to be on the show. So anyway, thanks for the appearance, Kristen. Hey, here's one thing that happened to me at the gym today. Let me give you guys a couple stories before we get in this podcast with Teddy. I was at the gym today, and you guys remember I told you a long time ago, get on a treadmill, get on a elliptical, bicycle, whatever, get your 15, 20-minute warm-up in before you get down there on a workout. And that's what I started doing again. Sometimes I'll start something, and then I'll stop it. But what I've been doing lately is, man, I'll get about a 5-minute warm-up in, and then I'll just get my cardio in right there. I'll kick in hard for about 15 minutes and go ahead and get good and warmed up. Probably burn about 250 calories, and then I go down there, and because I'm still, kind of incapacitated on one side of my body, while this rotator cuff heals up, I'll just superset stuff or just work giant sets or trisets. And, man, I'm wearing my heart rate monitor. I keep my heart rate spiked pretty much, or I'll let it go low, and then I'll hit it all up. And it's kind of like, I'm not training real heavy because of the way my body is right now with a bad shoulder. But, man, I'm having some great workouts. I'm getting some good results. Finally got my diet sorted out. My neighbor, God bless him, went down to Texas and got him out of my hair for a little bit, and he caused me to drink way too much beer. So I'm glad he left for 5 days. And then when I get down there, I'll be down there for another 7 days. So that'll be 2 weeks without seeing him. That will be very beneficial to my waistline. Back to the story about the gym. I walked in the gym today, and this is one of the biggest offenses that you can have when you go to a gym. A long time ago, I talked about gym etiquette, talk about it a little bit again today. Last week, you people enjoyed my little tutorial on using your turn signals, your indicators, your blinkers. Let me give you one more little heads up. It's all about BO, all about odor control when you're at the gym. Here's the thing. When you live with yourself, I don't think that you smell what you actually smell like. And so I was in the gym today, and I went up there to the cardio section, got on my elliptical trainer, and there was about 3 people up there, and I couldn't point out which one it was, but they had the funkiest armpits in the world. And as I've traveled the world, this person has some of the funkiest armpits I've ever been around. I had to move over across the cardio. I had to move over about 10 machines to get out of basically it was the Bermuda Triangle, the funk zone. And, man, I'll tell you what, Funky Armpits 316 says, I just ruined your workout because you couldn't work out because I smelled so bad. Here's the thing, people. I would say about 9.8 out of 10 adults that go to the gym probably need some kind of antiperspirant or odor control or deodorant. And so this person was up there, and my nose got knocked so cattywampus, I had to move about 10 machines over so I could get my cardio in. So when you're doing your cardio, you're breathing in and out in a rapid fashion. So the more funky that dude's armpits was, the more I'm offended as I'm trying to huff and puff and get my cardio in. But when you smell like a damn skunk up underneath your armpits, I can't work out. Nobody else can work out. And this just ain't in my gym. This is happening in gyms all over the world, just like this damn show. This show is worldwide. So if you're listening to my voice, let me calm down a little bit. My wife just walked into the studio here. We're calling it a studio. Kristen, you weren't there, but when I went up there to do cardio, some cat had some funky-ass armpits, and I had to get on down about 10 machines so I could get my cardio in. And you got to put on some deodorant or some antiperspirant. As an adult, you owe it to yourself. Before you walked in here, Kristen, I said about 9.8 out of 10 adults need some type of protection. Some people can get away with it.
I don't wear it.
I know, you can get away with it. You're one of the 9.8 people out of 10.
I spray alcohol.
She sprays alcohol on her arm. That's one of what you did with that vodka earlier. Are you going to go do something, or are you going to rejoin the podcast?
I'm not going to do the podcast.
Okay, well, I'm sitting there trying to do my open. I'm trying to educate people, Kristen, about gym etiquette. And so anyway.
It smells because the bacteria gets underneath there. That's why the alcohol cleans it.
Hashtag Funky Armpits 316. Okay? Hashtag Funky Armpits. Don't do it. Don't do it. Wash your armpits off. Put some deodorant or some antiperspirant. They're two different things. Or you can buy a 2-in-1 combo. But you got to do something, folks, so that your brothers and sisters can work out just like you want to. And don't get me wrong. Here's the thing. I've been accused of having BO myself when I'm all sweated up. Just last night, my wife and I just come back from the Bill Burr comedy gig over there at the Hermosa Beach. What's it? The Comedy Magic Club over in Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, whatever it's called. God dang, Bill Burr went on fire for about an hour and 15 minutes. I was laughing so hard my head was about to blow off. I thought it was going to explode. And then y'all know how deaf I am, and I could hear all of Bill Burr's jokes, and he was going on all these rants, and my wife was laughing so hard, cackling in my right ear, I thought she was going to split my eardrum. She was laughing her full head off. We had a blast. I had a Ballast Point Sculpin. That was a damn good beer. She had a couple glasses of wine, and then we rode off into the sunset. And so I put on my sleeveless dry fit shirt that I've had for about, I'm going to say, 8 years. I've had this damn collection of shirts for 8 years. This is my favorite dry fit stuff. I got to get some new stuff because I was sitting there right next to my wife while I was standing there having a glass of wine to wind down. And my wife says, "What'd you say to me? Do you have BO? How did you say that to me?" She said I stink. And I'm like, this has been a long day for us. It was about 9:30 when we got home. And we're not late night people at all. Like we'll eat sushi at 5:30 and then we come home. So we're homebodies. So Bill Burr set us up with some fantastic tickets. He covered our drinks, our cover charge, everything. It was a great time, Bill. You're hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Bill Burr's on my Thursday podcast. He's fixing to go over there to the UK, some Ireland shots, I think some Scotland shots too. So you people over in the UK, if you get on your website, man, look at BillBurr.com. See if you can go check out his show. This man is quite simply one of the funniest human beings on planet Earth. And he's a totally different guy from when he's here in the studio with me, here at the house. Or here, we went backstage and talked to him and the guy that opened for him. And he just laid back and mellow, and he doesn't even try to be funny. He just has a serious conversation with him. And it's almost like, in the conversation we'll have next Thursday, it's like there's a parallel between pro wrestling and stand-up. Two different gigs, but you work in a crowd. And then it's like when he hits the stage, that's a character. And he's dialed that thing up to about 20. And then when you get backstage, man, he's right about that 6 or even 5, maybe even lower. I'm sure he can ramp up any time he wants to, but it's just a whole different ballgame. But we had such a damn fun time. But my wife looked at me and she told me I stunk, and I was like offended because I'd already shaved the day before. I shaved again. I took a shower. I put on deodorant. I did everything because we're going out in public. When I go out in public, I wore shorts to the comedy club because that's what I do. But I was dressed nicely and I smelled clean, used a bunch of soap, had a brand new badass bar soap. That's a brand new bar of soap. Put on my deodorant, and when we get home, I knew that laughing at Bill Burr for an hour and 15 minutes couldn't have had me had that damn armpit funk that I was talking about earlier. So I looked at her and said, "Man, what's wrong with you, woman?" And so she put her nose down to my shirt. I've worn these shirts for so long.
You've had it since I've known you.
Okay, see, I've had these shirts for over 8 years because I've been with this ball and chain, my wonderful wife, for 12 years. 12 years. I don't know. I had a little bit of hair when I met you. Damn goatees turning silver as we talk, just like Moses when he parted. No, when he got the 10 Commandments, that's when his beard turned silver. Yeah. Anyway, hey, folks, wear some deodorant and stuff to the gym or some antiperspirant. Bothered the hell out of me this morning. I didn't know where to crap or wind my watch. It was bad. Bill Burr coming up on Thursday podcast. All right. That's enough with the small talk. It's time to get on some business before I get on with Ted Fowler. Hey, folks, it's summertime. It's prime vacation taking season. And I know the travel part of the vacation can be a hassle sometimes. Waiting in airports, long flights, long car rides, all that BS. Well, here's something to make that travel time as exciting as your vacation destination. Audible.com/Steve Austin. Let Audible audiobooks take you on a trip while you're traveling. Whether it's a mystery, thriller, autobiography, or the most recent bestseller, Audible turns travel time into story time. Just download your books or shows to your mobile device and listen anytime, anywhere. Audible.com/Steve Austin has a great selection of audiobooks, news, comedy, and original audio shows. And the Audible app makes listening easy. It has chapter navigation and narration speed control. And like I said, you can listen from your phone or your tablet or on your computer. That's what I did when Jocko Willink was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. I got the audiobook version of Extreme Ownership, How Navy SEALs Lead and Win, and listened to it before I talked to him. Hey, and if you've got an Audible recommendation to share, tweet your suggestion to PodcastOne and use the hashtag AudibleSteveAustin. And if you ain't checked out Audible yet, join today. Go to audible.com/Steve Austin and start a 30-day trial and download your first audiobook for free. That's audible.com/Steve Austin for a free 30-day trial and audiobook.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
All right, everybody, here we go. I'm talking to Ted Fowler, 361 down in Rockport, Texas. Here's the story. This is a family-friendly podcast. Normally, when you see my guest, Ted Fowler, 361, you know for sure it's going to be an Unleashed podcast because that's kind of how me and Teddy roll. But I've got bunches and bunches of Unleashed podcasts in the bank. Bill Burr's coming on this Thursday. I'm fixing to go see him tonight at a stand-up comedy act over there in Hermosa Beach. I'm looking forward to seeing him live. And I said, Teddy, I need a miracle because I need to turn in a podcast. So can you help me with an audio miracle? Can you help me deliver an entertaining, family-friendly show? And with a little trepidation and some thought, Ted Fowler said, yeah, we can do it. Teddy, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
God dang, good. What's the weather over there? It's about 80, 85 here in Los Angeles, California today. You got a little bit of a breeze going, but for us, that's a little bit on the warm side. I know you just got back from the Broken Skull Ranch. We got a bunch of stories, or rather you do. What's the temperature down there in Rockport right now? You sweating your ass off?
You know what, I am, because I turned the air off when I left. So when I walk into the house, it's 90 degrees. So I just turned the air on, trying to get it cooled back down. It's probably in the mid to high 80s here.
God dang it, man. Last night, I don't know what happened to our air conditioning unit, but that thing started crapping out on me, and I started messing with the buttons, and the panel started flashing. And, man, I thought those things were hardwired, Teddy, but there's got 4 batteries in there, so I changed out the batteries. I fixed the system. I was real proud of myself. And then the buttons got jammed down, and my heater button came on, and it started cooking me out of the house. I'm like, what in the wide world of sports is going on here? So anyway, Kristen had to come in behind me and fix the damn shenanigan on the little thermostat there. So, I thought I was being a real responsible homeowner, do-it-yourselfer, fix the thermostat, and hell, I tried to bowl us out of here. So I'm somewhat embarrassed by my do-it-yourself skills. That being said, Teddy, let me open this energy drink. There you go. Did you hear that?
I did.
Kristen, I can't remember if I took my Alpha Brain. Would you please get me one more? Because I'm going to need it.
It's not working if you can't remember.
I know. Teddy, please would you get me one?
Either that or you didn't take it.
Teddy, normally I'm asking her if she would please bring me a beer. And I stopped doing that because I'm trying to tone up because we've got the Broken Skull Challenge come up. And so now I can't even remember if I took my Alpha Brain. And she got me this stuff. It's called Prevagen. It says it's supposed to improve your memory, and it's regular strength. And I haven't even taken the plastic off this thing because I'm like, hold it. If I'm taking my Alpha Brain, I think Alpha Brain just kind of makes you think better because you take it just like I do. And this ain't no plug. This is just real deal. But so I'm hesitant to take another damn capsule, if it's going to improve my memory. But maybe I should take this memory improver so I can remember if I took my Alpha Brain or not, because it's like I said before on the podcast, Teddy. I mean, the Alpha Brain, the thing about it is, for me, if you're smart, it helps you be smarter faster. And if you're dumb, it helps you be dumber faster. That's the way it works for me. So I don't know whether to crap or wind my watch. I'm in harm's way over here. I ain't going to take this medication. Forget it, Teddy.
Hey, dude, there's a lot of things I don't want to remember.
I got 3 major ones in my life. Let's don't go there. Hey, Teddy, speaking of medication, I got one for you. I was in there getting prepared for the podcast. I sent Teddy a text message. He just got back from the Broken Skull Ranch, and he said, I'm home. And I said, how about 15 or 20 minutes before we started up? He goes, yep. And so while I was finishing my baked potato in there, I'm carving up right now. Just got finished training real heavy. And I saw a commercial for some kind of medication on TV. And right there on the screen, it's a picture of a lady, and she's talking about the medication she's going to take for whatever whatever ailment she has, or disorder, or something that she's got, symptom. The commercial says right there, and they put it on the screen, so-and-so is not an actor. Well, Teddy, if she's not an actor, if she's in the commercial, then that would make her an actor, right?
Correct.
And if she wasn't an actor, man, for just a straight-up rookie amateur, she was really convincing. I mean, she was good. Now, I don't know if she's ever going to get an award. I mean, because there's a lot of commercials that says, not an actor, real person. Well, I can agree with the part that, I can see that is a real person, but when you say not an actor, I'm calling bull. I'm not believing you because, first of all, and if they're in a commercial, they're now an actor. But if they weren't an actor before, man, they must have missed their calling because they should have been an actor and they should be something better than a medicine commercial.
Dude, I think he should be an agent. You can talk these people into a bunch of parts.
Well, I tell you what. Hang on, Teddy. Let me swallow my alpha brain. I want to choke online here.
Maybe the quality of this podcast will go up.
I tell you what. Hey, listen to the first 10 minutes of the new Steve Austin show with Ted Fowler 361. Why? What happens? He's choking on an alpha brain after trying to swig it down with a Diet Red Bull and gets hung in his throat. Chris is going to come in and give me the Heimlich maneuver. Teddy, what's going on down at the ranch? Let's go back a couple of weeks ago because I got a little story to tell the people here. Hang on, swig a Red Bull.
All right.
A couple of weeks ago, hell, it's been 2 months, I guess, and electricity came through there. A damn lightning storm came through the Broken Skull Ranch, and lightning hit all the power poles, the transformers. We'll get into the specifics of it. And so we couldn't log on to our camera system down there. I got about 6 or 8 cameras down there that we log on to from our iPhones anywhere in the world and check on the ranch, see what's going on down there. And we couldn't log on, so we knew the system wasn't down. And this has happened in the past, and when it has happened, it's been a bad lightning storm, and we can't get back online. So Kristen called Teddy and said, hey, man, when's the next time you're going down to the ranch? Well, we need to check, see if we got any power. And it turns out Teddy rolls down there a couple weeks ago, and man, it was cattywampus personified. The chaos was at an extreme level because the power had indeed been off. And Teddy, how many refrigerators and freezers we got down there? I got 2 in my house, 2 in your house, 4, 1 in the pavilion. We got 5 fridges, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
So you roll up to the house in your white Dodge pickup. You get out. You're just going to have an easy weekend at the Broken Skull Ranch. Just kind of chill out a little bit. And all of a sudden you walk on the building and you heard a sound. Teddy, what was the sound that you heard? Because it would forever change the next few weeks of your life.
I could hear the buzz of flies inside of the pavilion. It sounded like a swarm of bees. There were so many of them. And that's when I knew we had just nothing but hassle. Yeah.
So what had happened was, man, last time I was down at the ranch, and we're trying to get down there here next week, but the last time I was down at the ranch was several months ago, and I remember Chris and I had gone to the store, went to Trader Joe's, we went to Whole Foods, man, we stocked up on a bunch of organic hamburger meat, chicken breasts, I mean, everything but the kitchen sink. And then in your big freezer, we still had boatloads of deer sausage, lots of venison, backstrap, and I'll tell you what, this has happened to me before, way back in the day when I was living in Bernie, Texas. I was out on the road, and somebody didn't pay the power bill. And I tell you what, it was the most god-awful thing I walked into. The rancid meat, I had a couple of black bucks and some other things in my freezer. It was so bad that I couldn't get the smell out of that damn freezer. And I ended up giving the freezer to a friend of mine down there in Bernie who was a taxidermist at the time. It's probably still running. And because, they put all their hides and stuff in there. And it was horrendous, the cleanup squad. And it was just a one-man cleanup squad. It was me. So there you are, Teddy. You got 5 refrigerators. I know one of them was full of beer, so that one probably wasn't too bad. What in the wide world of sports did you do?
The one that was full of beer, that was bad because that's the one I had the rattlesnake in the freezer. So. And after a week sitting in that hot box with no power, it was pretty hot. You know what? I took my two-wheeler down there and I unplugged all of the refrigerators. Well, I let everything refreeze. Once we got the power turned back on, threw it in black garbage bags and threw it in the back of my truck. Took all of the refrigerator freezers outside onto the front porch, a couple of them on mine, a couple of them on yours. Basically just opened them up and hit them with the garden hose to try to wash that stuff out. And then it was just, you know, bleach and water, soap and water, Lysol and water, trying to get all that stuff cleaned out. And there's a couple of them that are still on your porch that have been open for, 3 weeks. I put the one back together in my place. And it smells good. It's actually, it doesn't stink. So I think they're ready to go. That black one got thrown out, though. I took that to the landfill.
Dude, the big one in my main compound, my double door one, is that one okay? Because that had a lot of produce and stuff in it. Because that was like a brand new refrigerator. It's only a couple years old.
Yeah, you know what? But the bottom portion of it is still on your front porch. That was part. Yeah, that was the only portion that had anything that went bad, because all you had was like condiments and stuff up in the top portion. You think we're gonna be able to get the smell out of it, or not? I'm gonna have to get another refrigerator freezer because, dude, I mean, I don't want to buy another one because that one's just fine. It's only a couple years old, but dude, some of that stuff is so funky you just can't fix it. Oh, dude, no, I think yours is pretty good. What scares me is the big stand-up freezer in my place, because I still have not addressed that. I just haven't opened the door. I'm trying.
So, but you got it freezing. But the last time you cleaned it all out, you did everything you could to it, and then you got it back running again. So you just don't know what it smells like freezing.
No, the big freezer in my place, I haven't cleaned it out yet.
Are you kidding me?
No, dude. That's why I said I kept the door closed. I haven't opened the door yet. That's yeah.
Teddy, this is a couple weeks ago. This happened.
Hey, dude, I'm working on it.
Dude, you've been down there like 2 times since this happened. You didn't even plug it in?
Yeah, it's plugged in. Yeah, It's plugged in. Everything is frozen. Yeah, no, it's running. It just has nasty stuff in it that's frozen.
God,
yeah, you can't really smell it.
Dude, if you hadn't turned the damn thing or plugged it back in, I was thinking, what's wrong with this guy? Hello.
No, man, it's plugged in. I just haven't cleaned it out. It's fine.
Okay, I can understand putting it off, but I was like, God dang! I said, Teddy must have got a damn girlfriend or something. He ain't thinking right.
No, dude, I've been filling feeders and trying to mow and, fighting the raccoons and the rats and, cleaning out those refrigerators is not a real, not real high on my list of priorities.
Hey, man, here's the thing. It all sounds fine and dandy. Hey, I want to get a ranch. I want to enjoy the outdoors. I want to hunt and fish and, just enjoy Mother Nature. But yes, it all sounds good, but there's a lot of stuff that goes with that. And when your power goes down, and what happened was the lightning struck, so Ted called the power company, and Teddy, tell a story, because they had to swap out all the transformers and gimmicks on the telephone poles. What?
You know what? There's basically like a big fuse that will blow before the actual transformer will blow. And what happens is a lightning strike hits that primary wire, and it travels down that wire, and it blows what they call it a barrel. It's about 10 inches long, about big around as your thumb, and that's that fuse. Well, once that fuse blows, then there's no power going to the transformer, so you're stuck. There's no way the power can turn back on without the power company coming out and changing out those barrels. And they had no idea what was going on until I got down there, and then Kristen called them. So then the guys come down, and there were a total of 5 of them that needed to be changed out. There was no power for us or the neighbors.
So that's the thing. When you're out there in the middle of nowhere, which the ranch is, and that's why it's so peaceful, because there's nothing else around there, and it's great. But when something like this happens, and this is the thing where, here's the thing, there's a lot of things out there that I don't do, but I can do. And the same thing with Teddy. He doesn't like to clean refrigerators and freezers, but when that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. If something technical breaks, if it doesn't require a professional like the electricians to come out, where there's a will, there's a way. And so I'm not a real big do-it-yourselfer, but like with the tractor or getting something stuck, you just figure out a way to get it out yourself if it's a one-man show, because it is what it is. But when you're that far in the middle of nowhere and the power goes down, not only did everything in all our freezers and our refrigerators spoil, Ted had to clean that out. So then, after he emptied everything out, did the best he could, he was going to go ride around, get on the tractor, do some mowing, get on the vehicles, just take a security lap, ride the fence line. Teddy, you go out to the barn. What happened?
Now, where do you want to start with? You want to start with the flat tire? You want to start with the raccoon in the engine compartment of the Kubota?
Hold it, stop right there. I'm glad you brought up the raccoon, because you put the picture on your Twitter account, Ted Fowler 361, and I saw this poor little raccoon hand hanging out. Before you get to that story, Teddy, here's the thing. We've got 2 Ford Broncos out there, my Chevy pickup, all of our UTVs, my Kawasaki Mule Pro FXTs, everything's plugged into trickle chargers. And so Teddy goes down there, and I think whatever you started off in, you started getting in vehicles, and every one of them was dead because it had been several weeks since the power had went off, and all the batteries dead except in the mules, and you couldn't get them out because everything else was in the way. And I used to have a generator out there, and I'm so mad that some low-life piece of trash stole that thing, and I know who they are. And so you couldn't even fire up our battery charger to get anything going. And did you end up just jumping everything off with your Dodge pickup? What'd you do?
No, remember, I didn't have jumper cables in my Dodge, because that was the idea. Yeah, I've got cables in the Suburban, I got cables in the work truck, and I had cables in the green truck, and they conveyed when I sold it. So the Dodge, I got cables now, but I didn't.
I remember you telling me that story, because we did this podcast once before and I didn't like it, so we didn't record it. But Teddy, in my white Chevy pickup is the baddest set of jumper cables you ever saw. They're heavy gauge, they're about 20-foot, 25-foot cables. They're the coup de grace of jumper cables. So all you had to do was look at my white Chevy, brother, and you'd have found them.
Oh, I know. They're probably sitting right next to the keys for that white Chevy too.
Hey, that's another story for another time. Okay, so anyway, you got to tell me what happened with the raccoon, because I went down there it was about a year or two ago, before I got my Kawasaki mules. I was riding a Polaris and my 2007, my 2011 model. And a raccoon had gotten in underneath that cross member of the transmission, and I kept smelling that thing, and me and Kristen were riding around, and I just, for the life of me, couldn't figure it out, because originally I thought the thing had died in the barn, and then finally I got, one of those McFly moments, E equals MC squared, maybe it's got to be here on the vehicle, because if you're over by the catfish pond, you can still smell the damn animal, it's got to be on the unit itself, and that's when I found that raccoon underneath there. I don't know how long he had been dead. I've already told this story for the people that have heard it. So I went back in there to the barn with a towel and reached in there and pulled that thing out. And it was not pretty. And I hate for an animal to get trapped in the barn and die. But Teddy, tell us the raccoon story that happened to you.
I went out to jump in that thing after the mechanic had come and fixed, whatever electrical problem there was with it.
Okay, here's what happened. Teddy tried to get on the Komodo tractor, as Stacy would say, and he was going to go out and do some mowing, but the tractor wouldn't do nothing. Zilch, nada. Wouldn't do nothing. So we called the people down there at Tuttle Hardware in Poteet, and they went out there and Teddy what it was, because the mechanic left while Teddy was in there taking a cat nap. Jesus Christ, what kind of ranch hand are you, Teddy?
Oh, and I got a story about that too.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, so the dude, I love that story. What happened was it was rats. It was rats that chewed up some wires to the starter or whatever. But that's what the repair was. Jump in there. You want to tell the repair story, or you got to give me the raccoon story? Give me raccoon.
Let me tell you the repair story first.
Okay.
How do we always put the Kubota in? And when we park it, we always back it in.
We always back it in. We turn the bucket or the forks down. We put all the wings down, and we lock everything in place. Or we fold them up, actually. We fold them up and put the bolts in place, and that's our storage mode.
Okay, now, I made a phone call to you and said, hey, dude, I can't get the Kubota to start. I've tried everything, and I can't get it to start. And this was mid-morning. Now, usually, I get up early, and I work until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then it gets so hot, I go inside of the house, and I kick back until about 4, and then I start going again and go until dark. So you said, well, I'll call up Eldon and see what's going on, see if they can get somebody to come out and look at the tractor. So I went inside of the house, and I'm in there sleeping. The dogs never barked, nothing. About 4 o'clock, I get up, and I go out to go do some work, and I figure, the tractor guy didn't come. It was a Friday. It is what it is. So I walked around the big water tank, and all of a sudden I'm looking at the Kubota tractor, and it's pulled head first under the parking way. It's backwards from the way that we normally do it. And I stopped and I looked, and I'm looking around and I'm going, man, am I dreaming this? Because it's like I didn't know that somebody had come out to the ranch, that the guy had come out to the ranch, fired it up, drove it around, and parked it. That's how deep I was sleeping. So imagine, my surprise when I walk around the corner and the tractor's backwards in there. It's like, are you kidding me? And then it was like, oh, well, I guess the guy fixed it. So I jump on it and I mow till dark, go back and put it back in the way it's supposed to. Get up the next morning, and I'm going to jump in that tractor and do some more mowing. Well, I notice there's a big pile of raccoon poo up on the hood. And I'm like, dude, you're kidding me. I said, well, I need to change the air filter and check the fluid level and stuff like that. The only way to open up the hood is to climb up over the front of those forks. Actually get between the forks and the hood so you can roll that hood guard back towards you, right? And as soon as I do that, I pull that pin on the right-hand side and I raise the hood up, and man, there it's a coon, and it's asleep right on the top of the engine compartment. And that hood goes up, and he looks at me, and I look at him, and I'm trying to back up over the top of those forks, about fall to the ground, because I can just see that thing making a lunge, towards my throat, and I'm such a sissy about that stuff. That coon is looking at me like, dude, you're scaring me. Yeah, and that's when the picture came about, because he crawled over the top of the engine and then got between the cab and the back of the engine. And it's like, oh, boy, neat. I'm in there with a broom handle trying to poke him to get him out of there, because you can't shoot him. Yeah.
You can't shoot him because you're going to shoot the tractor, is what he's saying. You didn't want to shoot him anyway, but here's the thing. At least he went to sleep, and he wasn't dead. God dang it. But that's the thing. Here's the thing. The situation that Teddy's talking about, the forks, the front end loader of that tractor, there's a parallel bar that runs in front, and you're standing between that and the hood of the tractor, or the front of the tractor where the radiators are, and you're confined. You're in an area. You can drop if you can drop immediately down, but when you're looking at a raccoon, literally, how far was he? 3 feet from you?
Yeah, 2 or 3 feet.
But I don't care, 2, 4, 5, when you're that close to the raccoon is too close, especially when you're basically confined and trapped. Because here's the thing. People think, oh, they see the little mask on a raccoon, and they think, oh, that's so cute. And they are. They're a pain in the ass if you have a ranch, quite frankly. They get on our protein feeder arms, they throw out all the protein, all their buddies are down there eating it. They get on your corn feeders, they try to tear through the cages. They're just a pain in the ass. That's just the way they are. Now, they're just raccoons, so it is what it is. But when you're face to face with one of those little rascals, one of those cute little rascals, here's the thing. And you always see this in the parks. When people go to pet an animal, they think it's so cute. No, that's a wild animal. And I don't care if a coon weighs 10 pounds or 25 pounds, whatever the range is on those guys. We got some big ones out there at the Broken Skull Ranch, because not only are they eating all my deer protein, but I think they're on some PEDs as well. We got some badass raccoons. The last thing you want to do is be confined, trapped in the front end loader of a tractor, between that and the hood of the machine, and there's a raccoon from you think, man, this thing's going to scratch my eyes out, because those things are dangerous. And on top of that, maybe they're cute, and they're always getting into something, so you could say that they are very curious by nature, but they potentially carry rabies. So, first of all, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, you don't want your eyes scratched out or just get in a tangle with a raccoon and potentially get rabies and have to drive yourself to the hospital and go to the emergency room and go through all the BS that you have to go through.
You are absolutely correct. And all that stuff went rushing through my mind when I lifted the hood of that Kubota.
Oh, dude, here's the thing. I've lifted hoods of stuff out there, and you see a big rat standing on a carburetor, and it's like, it's only a rat. I mean, our rats probably weigh 10 pounds. That may or may not be an exaggeration, but the fact is they could jump off that carburetor and actually jump on your chest. And that's just, I don't want nothing to do with a rat. I don't want to touch them. If I can see one running across the field, I want a barn or something like that, I might shoot one. We don't really mess with the rats too much, but have the rats been chewing up everything out there, Teddy? Because as of late, other than the tractor, we've been doing pretty damn good with them.
Well, they did double duty on the tractor because after the mechanic got it up and running, I fired it up. After I got eradicated the coon from the engine department, I fired that thing up and I dropped the wings and I started mowing towards the front gate. And when I got to the front gate, that thing was, redlined on the heat. And I was like, man, you are kidding me. And I jumped out and you could see radiator fluid coming out of the side of the engine compartment. So I limped it back to the shop.
Dude, are you kidding me?
No, dude. And there is a hole chewed in the side of the radiator hose about the size of a pea, where you can see all these little teeth marks where, a rat got in there. So when I fired the tractor up, I'm blowing a steady stream of coolant out. And I didn't know it until I looked at the temperature gauge, turned around and came back. Luckily, it was close enough to the worm clamp where I could just back it off, cut that, bad piece out, and put it back together.
Well, yeah, lucky on that, but you could also, you could jerry-rig that, which is basically just a lot of electrical tape or duct tape, and probably got on with it before we got a new hose. We probably ought to have a couple extra hoses hanging around there.
Funny you should say that, because there's a 5-foot section in my truck.
Is that just straight hose, or it got a curve to it? Is it specific to the model, or just hose?
No, it's just hose. It's about 1/2-inch diameter, actually. Just, and they carry it in a big old spool. No great shakes to it. So,
dude, what do we need down there? Do we need anything?
We need tires on your dad's rig.
Okay, let me give them a setup. I got a couple of Broncos out there. One I call mine, one I call my dad's. And so mine was dead, and somehow you got my dad started, and Teddy hooked up the feed wagon, and he was going to fill the protein feeders, and he goes to the far southeast corner of the ranch, which, as you walk, you don't go as the crow flies out there at the Broken Skull Ranch. You go by the roads, and by the roads, that's a 4-mile walk back to the barn. And the furthest, you're staying on the high-fence side, but on the most remote part of the ranch, that Bronco sees fit to have a flat tire on poor Teddy Fowler. Teddy, what did you think when you're out there? Because here's the thing. It goes back to just, when you're 20 or 30, a flat tire's a flat tire. It's just, young buck, just hoof it. But, when you're 50, you think, I ought to be smarter than this. I'll have a backup plan. But all of a sudden, you're out there in the back corner of the ranch, you have a flat tire. What were you thinking when you saw that thing?
Oh, dude, you talk about a tummy ache, because I hadn't been able to mow the roads in a while. So those, it's pretty grown up. And, dude, could it not have happened, in front of the house? I got to get all the way down the farthest way. And I'm driving and I'm going, man, this rascal is sure pulling to the left. And I stuck my head out the front, out the side window, and I looked down and I'm like, oh, Colorado, look at that. It's like, so it's your dad's rig and I rarely drive it. So I get out and I look in the back and I said, there is an actual spare in this thing? Perfect. So I drop the tailgate, I take the spare out, I bounce it on the ground, I'm going, Eureka, it's even got air in it. I started looking around, I got a spare tire, I got a jack, I got the little crank thing to crank up the jack. The only thing I'm missing is a lug wrench. So I lift the engine compartment, because on those Fords, that's where they put the jack and the lug ranch,
Yep.
there's nothing in there. And I'm like, oh, man. Yeah, and it's late in the afternoon. It is hot. I don't have a thing of water with me. I got a tire, I got a jack, I got no lug wrench, and it's like, no, Lordy. So I grab my snake charmer and start hoofing it back to the house. There's nothing else you can do.
Dude, I did that a couple of years ago. We were down there in almost the exact same spot. And God dang it, this is back when I had the houses split up and I had the other double wide on that east fence line. And so we walked back to there, and I was just like, I don't know, I think I'd probably had too much to drink the night before. And I was sweating bullets. Everything I had on was soaking wet, and it was absolutely ridiculous. And so these days, I mean, from now on, Teddy, it's just like we have that red compressed air tank. And so, like, when we saw that, when you sent the picture of the flat tire you had today, I was thinking to myself, man, for sure Teddy would have put that red compressor or that, whatever you call that, air tank in the back of the vehicle.
It was on the feed wagon, yes, sir.
So it is now?
Yeah.
Dude, you just can't get out there and have a flat tire in the middle of nowhere. I mean, and that was a valuable lesson because, dude, I need to have a four-way tire tool or whatever in all the Broncos.
Oh, absolutely right. Absolutely. But, and that was one of those deals where a rock had punctured the sidewall of that tire. So even if I'd had 10 of those, air cans, it didn't matter that tire was destroyed. But I had a viable spare that I could have put on, but I didn't have a lug wrench.
Yeah, and here's the thing about it. Most time, like when something happens, I'm so damn stupid that I get a tractor stuck because I'm trying to mow too soon after it's rained, and I have to call Teddy up. Teddy, can you bring the other tractor? I got this one stuck, and that wasn't a whole ordeal you guys already heard about. But when I'm down there or whatever, you call me, I call you. We got the whole teamwork thing going. But when you're down there by yourself and you have something happen, it's like, oh, dude, really? Right now, a flat tire, damn near evening, tall grass, snakes are everywhere, it's hotter than blazes. Thanks.
Well, and here's the deal. I get back to the house, and I'm drenched with sweat, just like you. It's like, man, what a pain. And I just say, the heck with it. Now I got to get up in the morning, grab the floor jack, grab the four-way, get in one of the mules, drive the 4 miles to where the Bronco is, change the tire, leave the mule there, drive the Bronco and the feed wagon back to the house. Now I got to turn around and make that walk back to go get the mule. It's like, dude, yeah, call AAA, come on. It's like, man, I wonder if Steve would be mad if I just left it out there in the field.
You can leave the Bronco out in the field because you can shut the doors and the windows. But, man, my Kawasaki mules are brand new. You got to keep those things in the barn. Those are my babies.
Oh, no, I know. But it's like, it was a couple of years ago when I got your dad's Bronco stuck on that diagonal road heading to Riverside. And I had to walk back to the house. I'm out there by myself. I had to walk back to the house, get in the John Deere, get a chain, and pull the Bronco out of the mud hole. And then it was like, you know what, man? I'll just limp this whole thing back to the Carrizo on that all-weather road. So I'm pulling, picture that, I'm on the John Deere, pulling your dad's Bronco with a 10-foot chain, which is also pulling the feed wagon, with nobody in there steering, driving this thing down the road. It's
or
like,
to pump the brakes.
Yeah. Yeah, you talk about a calamity waiting to happen. But I got it back to the Carrizo and then unhooked it, and it was like, well, if I'm walking a mile, that's better than 3 miles. So, yeah.
Hang on, let Hershey out the office here. I'm sitting here trying to get out of here, Hershey. I got these sliding doors going. Hershey's trapped on the outside. She wants in. Then after listening to me talk to Teddy, decides she wants out. So she starts scratching at the door. I got to grab my mobile unit computer and my Blue Yeti microphone, hot-footed over there to let her out. It's not walking 4 miles in the Texas heat, but it is what it is. It's discombobulation. And speaking of discombobulation, we're going to take a little pause for the calls for the sponsors to keep the show on here for free. I'm talking headaches, hassles, and more hassles with Ted Fowler down at the Broken Skull Ranch by way of Rockport, Texas. All right, y'all know that Diamond Dallas Page and DDP Yoga saved Jake the Snake's life. And Dallas and his crew are the ones who put together the Resurrection of Jake the Snake documentary that shows Jake's journey. And this is one badass documentary, but you ain't got to take my word for it. Check out how well it's doing on Netflix. right now, The Resurrection of Jake the Snake is the 6th highest rated documentary of all time on Netflix. Hello. And when you stream it on Netflix, be sure to give it a rating yourself to help those guys out. You can also get the documentary on Blu-ray and DVD now. And the collector's edition comes with 20 bonus features, including a commentary track narrated by Dallas, Jake, and director Steve Yu. So just go to ddpyoga.com/Austin and get the Resurrection of Jake the Snake Collector's Edition DVD or Blu-ray, along with your own copy of the DDP Yoga program. And if you do it now, you'll save 20% off your order. DDP is giving you guys a once-in-a-lifetime deal right now. You heard me right. You'll get 20% off anything you buy at ddpyoga.com/Austin. Don't miss your chance to try DDP's life-changing DDP Yoga program. This is more than a workout. This is a way to live a healthier life. DDP gives you everything you need, and all you got to do is commit. So get the Resurrection of Jake the Snake documentary, get yourself on the DDP Yoga program, get yourself in shape, and do all that for 20% off by going to ddpyoga.com/Austin. That's ddpyoga.com/Austin, and get 20% off anything you buy for a limited time. All right, here we go. Once again, Ted Fowler, 361 down in Rockport, Texas. Teddy, I called you a couple of days ago. We've been trying to do this podcast, and God dang, last time I talked to you, you sounded like you were about to die. I said, dude, what's up? What happened to you? You sounded like crap.
Dude, I felt like I was going to die. And you know what? I'm still not over it. It was about 10 days ago when I was down at the ranch. And I woke up Sunday morning, and I started to have a little bit of a sore throat, a little bit of congestion in my nose and chest. And I thought, boy, this is one of them summertime colds, you know, not a big deal, not the end of the world. Came back to Rockport, went to work Monday, Tuesday, you know, and coughing, congested. And I, you know, go to the grocery store, and you get every over-the-counter pill and liquid and, you know, thing to put in your hot water and, you know, just whatever. I'm buying one of everything, you know, and I mean,
you're not an actor.
Oh, yeah, and I'm not an actor. Yeah, and I ain't reading the directions, and, you know, the little measuring cup that comes with the NyQuil thing, that's the first thing to go in the garbage can. You know, and I unscrew that thing and take a couple of chugs like I'm at a bachelor party, you know, and those 12-hour Mucinex, you know, I figure, you know, because I haven't been taking them, I'm short, so I better take 2 or 3 of those, you know, and a couple of, you know, NyQuil nighttime caps, and I'm trying everything, dude. Well,
you're starting to sound like a pro wrestler.
The only problem is nothing's making me feel better.
Yeah.
You know, and then I go to bed Tuesday night, and man, I swear to God, it was like I was making too much saliva in my mouth, and when I would lay down, it felt like I was drowning, and I couldn't catch my breath, and then I'd start coughing, and it's that painful, you know, in your chest, hurting cough. So I would sit up, and I'd sit there for a couple, 2-3 minutes. And I mean, it's 11 o'clock. It's midnight. I'm tired, you know, and I'm working the next day. I'd lay back down. I'd start coughing. And I mean, 2-3 minutes, and I'm back up. I did that for 30-40 minutes, and it's just killing me. So I tried to make a little makeshift, you know, barricade deal on the couch so I could sleep sitting up. You know, because I can't lay down, because every time I lay down, I'm coughing, you know, and the dogs are like, dude, really, we're trying to go to sleep. You know, and I mean, it was just a miserable night. I couldn't do anything about it. So I get up the next morning, and I got my guy started, and I said, hey, dude, you're on your own. I said, I got to go to the doctor. You know, this is killing me. I didn't have any sleep. You know, just try not to screw anything up. Try not to cut off any appendages, you know, and just I'll come back later on the day and get all my trailer and my tools and all that stuff. Just do your thing. Well, of course, I go to the doctor, and I show up, and you know, the receptionist, oh, you look horrible. Well, that's why I'm here. You know, I said, hey, I've obviously got some type of respiratory deal going on. I need to see the doctor. And she's like, well, the doctor's not in today. Well, what are you guys doing here? Why is the shop open if there's nobody in there that can, you know, treat me? I'm like, good grief. So I got to go to we've got an urgent care center here. You know, like a 24-hour. That's the place I went when I had the little table saw mishaps. So they know me.
Is that the guy that runs the sushi joint too?
It's his brother.
So what happened at the urgent care?
Yeah, so I go in there and I tell the lady, I said, hey, I can't breathe. I need to see the doctor. I need something. I've been fighting this long enough. And she says, do you have your insurance card? And I said, man, that's a funny story. I said, I just got a new insurance carrier and I didn't read the fine print, and it said you have to request insurance cards online. And I just did that. So I've got all the paperwork at my house. I said, lady, I really don't want to go back to the house and get it. I said, let me just pay cash. It ain't no big deal. And she's like, well, we have this other program you can get on. I said, no, I'm not interested because I'm a guy. You're not going to sell me anything when I'm standing there. I'm sick. I want treatment, and I got cash. So let's get her going.
Fix me, I'll pay you. I want to go home.
Yeah. How bad can it be? I got credit cards. Come on. So they take me in the back and, blood pressure, all that stuff. And the doctor comes in and he looks at me and he, pokes and prods and listens. And I tell him what's going on. And he says, all right, dude, you got some respiratory virus. He says, how are you with shots? And I'm like, oh, it's a little early in the morning, but I'm good.
Yeah, I'll do a shot of Jack with you.
yeah, dude, I need some sleep. Yeah, anything to help. Yeah, and he goes, well, we can give you a steroid shot, and then we can give you another one that's an antibiotic, and it'll just jumpstart, the healing process. And I said, cool. And he's like, I can give you some cough syrup. And it'll take care of your cough so you can get a little sleep. And I said, perfect, man. He says, all right, the nurse will come in here in just a minute. This little girl comes in. She's about 5'2", got 2 little injection deals in her hand. And I said, are those in my arm or, my butt? And she's like, no, it's got to go in each cheek. I said, okay. So I stand up and, pull my shorts down one side and she pokes it in there. And I'm going, man, that was so gentle. I didn't even feel it. That's a good job because I was expecting it, to hurt. Man, I swung around and stuck the other hip out there. And she goes, now, hey, this one's going to burn for a little while. She said, you're not having a reaction to it. It's just, the chemical and it's a burn. And I'm going, oh, okay, no problem. Boom, she hits that hip and I don't feel it go in, but then I feel the burn. And I'm thinking to myself, I go, man, it got real hot in here all of a sudden. Now, I haven't had any breakfast. I haven't had any sleep. I woke up and had 1 cup of coffee. This lady just hit me with 2 hypodermic needles, 1 in each hip. I start sweating like crazy. She looks at me and she goes, are you okay? And I swear to God, that bench there with the paper on it, that you lay down and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm facing that, mind you, right, with my shorts down. And I go, I'm just going to lay back down here for just a second. Dude, I go face first onto that little table. She chuckles a little bit and she's like, all right, big boy, let's roll you over here. So she rolls me over. I haven't even buttoned up my shorts yet. That's how bad I feel. She puts me on my back. Dude, the sweat is pouring off of me. And I'm like, God, you know what, lady? I'm going to hurl. I said, I am so sorry. Yeah. I said, man, you start, Yeah. It's like, hey, I got 3 dogs. I know the drill, Yeah. And she's like, oh my God, look at this guy. Yeah. So I overcome the urge to, throw up. I think she's trying to keep down, from openly laughing. She gets a couple of wash rags, put one on my neck, put one on my head. And she's like, look, I'm going to step out of the room for about 5 minutes. I think she was going to get the other nurses so they could all look at me, so I lay there and then she comes back in about 5 or 6 minutes later and she's like, how you doing? And I said, well, I'm still not ready to move. I'll tell you that much, the sweat is still just pouring off me. I'm nauseous to boot. And I said, hey man, I haven't had any breakfast. So I think that's what's affected me.
Oh,
sure.
She got, yeah, sure. Tough guy. Okay.
Yeah. All right, big boy. Maybe we can find you a little saucer of milk or something, Yeah. So, it was about 5 minutes later, I finally, gather myself and I sit up on the bed and I'm looking and man, my shorts are still wide open. So apparently there wasn't anything there of interest for her, and it's like, holy cow, I am super embarrassed now, and she comes in and she's like, hey, it's cool. It happens from time to time. And I'm like, man, I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed, blah, blah, blah. Let me pay the bill and get down the road. So I go up to the cashier lady And I hand her my debit card, and there is a couple behind me, waiting to check out as well. And she goes, we're going to run it on this card? And I go, yeah. And now remember, all they did was take my temperature, have the doctor, look and listen, and I got 2 shots. She goes, that'll be $563.
They had to charge you a day rate on the room since you took a little cat nap.
Yeah, exactly.
How did they break down this $560 bill?
Oh, dude, that was the thing. I was going, are you serious? And I've got those people behind me. You know me, man. I ain't use no coupon. I said, now, what about those other things you were trying to smart me up to when I first got in here? And she goes, oh, yeah, that'll save you a lot of money. I go, you know what? Why don't you go ahead and help these people so we're not holding them up? Give me back my credit card, cancel that $563 bill, and let me open my ears, to your spiel now and not be so, so pig-headed. So she cashes those up. Yeah. Oh, dude, you know me. Man, I throw down that debit card like a big wheel. I'm like, how bad can it be? Well, it could be $563 worth of bad. So I'm like, holy cow. And those other people get out. And she goes, yeah, if you sign up for this deal, whether or not you've got health insurance, it's access to the urgent care center. You pay a $50 annual fee. And the office visit is $80. And if they do something to you, like shots or stitches or something like that, the most it can be is $135. And I said, all right, $135 plus the 50, so it's $185, which is considerably less than $563. And I said, you know what? If you could please give me another one of those papers, I'd like to fill it out and, partake in that, that you were so kind to offer me. And, of course, I snubbed you. I would like to wholeheartedly apologize. Yeah. So that I learned, a valuable lesson there. Keep your mouth shut and just listen before you make a judgment.
God dang, dude. So
yeah.
you still ain't even well yet, because I called you the other day, and I said, God dang, man. I said, you still sick? You go, oh, no, I feel 100% now. Dude.
Dude, I feel 100%. I sound bad, and I'm still sniffing a little bit. It's because, I'm still working. I'm still going, like crazy. It's like that elbow thing. What am I going to do? Take a week off of using my right arm? Yeah, that's going to happen. Yeah, hi, I'm your one-armed carpenter.
Dude, I rarely get sick. I mean, shit, I might get sick. I don't know, once every 4 or 5 years. But then when I do, I mean, I'm like worthless for about 2 days, maybe 3 days, just absolutely worthless, because that's how sick I am. Because dude, I ain't selling nothing. But so it's just like when it hits me, it hits me. But then, other than that, I'm good to go. I've been fortunate. I'm going to knock on this table here and put a damn jinx on myself. I get that damn stuff you got. I mean, a global icon and a national treasure can't roll into an urgent care, get 2 shots in the ass, and pass out on a table. God dang, they'd have Harvey Levin, TMZ up there and make a goddamn news. Be all over the computer, internet. Global icon, national treasure falls out after getting 2 shots for having a chest cold.
Dude, the last time I was sick was when we went to the SHOT Show. Remember how bad I sounded there?
Oh yeah, it was ridiculous.
A couple of years ago. Yeah, so I don't get sick that often, but when I do, man, I make it count. That's for sure.
Oh, Teddy, I forgot to tell you, when you took that little cat nap and tractor repair guy came out, it's just like Blazing Saddles, dock that man a day's pay for napping on the job.
Dude, if you would have had a camera set up, because I stood there and looked at that tractor for a second, and I was like, dude, are there aliens out here or what? I'm going, how did that happen? I couldn't get that thing started, and then finally the light come on. Yeah, obviously I didn't take my Alpha Brain either. I'd have figured it out sooner. Yeah. Man,
I just got through my energy drink. My Alpha Brain kicked in. Ted, I'm feeling like $1 million over here, and I remember taking it too. I don't need this Prevagen. I'm not even an actor. I'm gonna put it back down. But here's the thing. I got a question to ask you.
Yes, sir.
If my wife really wanted me to improve my memory, why wouldn't she get me the maximum strength? She knows me, regular strength. Regular strength is for sissies. I need maximum strength. So she got me regular strength Prevagen. What's up with that? Does she not care for me?
You know what? I've got a new opinion of all of that over-the-counter stuff now, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, that guy jacked me up with those 2 shots and immediately felt better.
Well, then what's your take on the over-the-counter stuff?
Dude, you know what? I think you need to do a lot of research on it before you just go buying. And I bought, the name stuff, Yeah,
you bought the stuff to make you feel better, like NyQuil to help you sleep or something to relieve the symptoms. But dude, if you want a cure, dude, there's really not any substitute for, prescription grade stuff because that's why it's prescription grade.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And once again, that goes back to, me being a hard-headed guy. It's like, dude, I'm gonna hold off on going to the doctor as long as I can, because I ain't no sissy, and I'll go buy this stuff over the counter and I probably spent $563 on NyQuil and, crap in my counter, I bought, 2 boxes of it and took 3 of them and it didn't do anything. So I went the next day and bought another box of something else and tried that. It's like, boy, at 50, you think I would listen more than I do, but oh no.
Hey, dude, take you back to the ranch because I'm trying to get down there this coming weekend. My sister's getting married, so we might end up down there because we want to be down there for that illustrious occasion. You know how much I love weddings. Well. And, before I go to the question I was going to ask you, Teddy, do I hear wedding bells in the future for you?
Man, did our Skype thing just disconnect? No, not unless I go back to the urgent care center and get one of those injections right in my temporal region. Yeah, no, dude, you ain't got to worry about that.
Oh, the question I was going to ask you, man, you seeing any deer with horns? Because they're right in the middle of growing horns right now, and rattlesnakes. So first, deer, you seeing any bucks?
Dude, yes, seeing a lot of young bucks. Saw a bunch of them this morning, and you can't really tell any tine length right now. They're still growing, width.
Yeah.
And heavy velvet, so you really can't tell anything there. As far as rattlesnakes go, you ready for this? I have not seen one in probably the last 60 days. I haven't seen any kind of snake in the last 60 days. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Well, that's interesting because they're damn sure out there.
Well, I'll tell you what, I saw a hog this morning running away from the protein feeder that probably 200, 2.25, jet black hog.
That's a big hog for us. I mean, man, you go down there. When I used to hunt in South Georgia, man, they got hogs out there, upwards of 300 pounds. I mean, they got some crazy numbers, too. I ain't never seen nothing like that. But, dude, our hogs, if you see a hog 200, 225, that's a big-ass hog.
That's a big boy. Yes, sir. Yeah.
So, did you do anything to scurry him off in a rapid-fire fashion? Or
no, all I had...
protein, Teddy.
All I had was that little snake charmer. No, he heard me rattling down the road and took off. I saw him flash across the field. I didn't have anything to deter him with, of any merit. No, but I'll tell you what, we've got a real good quail population going on. So it'll be interesting to see if it gets cool enough this year, come October when it's quail season, to run those dogs in and not run into any snakes. But the bird population, the rain was good, grass is good. Yeah, got 2 alligators.
Did you try to? Tell me about the alligator because you were telling me in a message a while ago that you think alligator is actually Alice because you think that there's a bigger gator that's a male.
Yeah, dude. When I went up there this morning, Al, which we'll still call her, though I do think it's female, getting pretty brazen now. When I come up, and I was in the forward with the feed wagon. And it come up out of the water and got up on the bank. Well, there's a second one that stayed in the water. Body was submerged. All you saw was its head. And like I said, the head on that thing is probably 30% bigger than the head on Al. It's that time of year, mating season. So I put 2 and 2 together, and I figure that's a male come rolling through, doing his thing. And, Al is Alice. So we'll see what happens if you get any babies out of the deal.
Dude, if we start getting babies, then we're going to have a conference. Because I've let Al hang out for a pretty long while because I've enjoyed watching that thing, and you've been feeding it all these, it's been about 2 years.
Yep. We're going to have boots and belts for Christmas. I know what I'm getting you.
I'm going to get you a stuffed raccoon on a Komodo tractor. Oh, man, how the dogs?
The dogs are good, man. They're lazy. They ain't doing nothing because it's so hot. Those 2 pointers get out there and run around. And then come back in, and Cassie, the lab, she ain't leaving the air conditioning, but everybody's good, everybody's healthy.
So, dude, talk to me about the German short-haired pointer, because what's the dog's name?
Which one, Mira or Tula?
Mira. Yeah, Mira and Tula. I forgot.
Mira and Tula, yes.
Hold on, let me get my broken skull pocket knife. I want to open this Prevagen. Ted sent his dog to some guy over there up there in North Texas? Where is he at?
Yeah. It was up
training.
there.
And that dog was trained for quails?
Correct.
Okay, so you got a badass quail dog, and then you got Mira. So Mira's untrained. So if we get out there and it's quail season, when is quail season, dude?
Middle of October.
Okay, dude, I should be finishing shooting Broken Skull Challenge, and because that other show didn't get renewed, I'm going to be down there earlier, so we could feasibly be doing some quail hunting. And here's the thing, dude, I've only been quail hunting straight up shoot just, I don't know, maybe 3 times in my life. We never had dogs. You could walk down the road and shoot quail or whatever.
Yeah.
Bust up a cover yourself, but I just never have. And dove season, of course, that's always a go-to thing. But now out here in Cali, I hadn't been able to dove hunt, consistently in a while. But that would be real interesting to get behind, those dogs and let them do their things, because that is one thing I've never done is hunt with those dogs. And it just looks interesting as hell to watch those things operate on TV, and just to see Tula do her thing out there. We're just out there messing around with those doves.
Oh, you know what? If you come down and it's quail season and the weather's right and the snakes, aren't around, it's a lot of fun. Just get in that buggy and just slow roll down the road, and she'll be running out in front of us, going side to side, working the brush line. And as soon as she, gets a nose full of birds, she'll strike a point and, she'll hold, and we'll just, pull up behind her and then get out of the buggy and go walking up, and then the quail will boil up and we'll shoot them. And then you call for the lab because Cassie will be riding with us, because Tula won't go pick them up. Tula doesn't care about picking them up. She just wants to point them.
Tula is a specialist.
Yeah. She's not an actor. That dog's a real dog. Yeah, and then the lab will get out of the buggy, and that's what she wants to do, is go root around and sniff them out and pick them up and then bring them back to us. So it's when everything goes right, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Now, Teddy, here's a question for you. I pose as a hunter. A lot of times out there when it's deer season, you and I wear a lot of camouflage. Now, because we're hunting quails and we'll be riding in a buggy, will we be dressed up as giant quails?
No, and we ain't gonna be wearing no hunter orange and the real expensive hunting shirts and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, I want to get that $100 hunting shirt with the extra pad belt on my right hand shoulder. Boy, those things are neat looking.
Boy, I'm telling you, yeah.
There's a lot of things I've bought in my life that I didn't need, and that's one of the things I damn sure don't need. I've shot a lot of damn shotguns and rifles and stuff like that at Targets and stuff. I just don't understand that's a fashion statement. Just out of all the messed up stuff that I have worn, including back in the day wearing as Stone Cold, wearing my high-tech Magnums with my jorts through airports and to the ring. I mean, that was basically my work wear was my casual wear, but one of those gimmick shirts has just never struck my fancy. But I just didn't want, I don't know if we're going to be dressed up as quail, because I didn't want us to mistake each other for a big quail. Boy, I got a good one. Chris, dude, bring a Komodo with a Shannon. I got a big one over here.
Hey, man, you're in luck. I got 2 of those shirts with the pads on them.
Well, would you please wear one of them? I've had a lot of headaches and hassle here in Los Angeles. I need something to lighten up my mood and give me something to laugh about, for Christ's sake.
You want me to wear the blue one or the green one?
Shooter's choice. Whichever one. I'm gonna go ahead and wear a blaze orange vest just so I can figure I fit in with you while you're doing your hunter extraordinaire routine.
Dude, you know how it is. When you first get into something, a hobby of some sort, you got to buy all of the little nicknoid stuff, and you got to, if you may not be any good, but you got to look good. That was my theory. So, of course, I go out and buy a couple of those shirts and buy, the brush pants with the briar resistant front. And, I'm out there walking around and I think I saw my reflection on the side of a vehicle or something. And I was like, look at this idiot,
You're the guy. It depends. I mean, because you've been to some of those high dollar things where everybody's that's what they wear, because that's the gimmick. Yeah. But when you're just out there in South Texas, dude, if you rolled up, what a tool. What happened to the Ted? I know, but to your point, you were so right. Like when you get to hobby, you got to get everything that goes with it. It's just like when I started podcasting damn near 3 years ago. I went over to Jay Moore's place. I did his podcast, and he's got a guy over there running a board, with all these little slide controls on it, running through his computer, going to his microphones. I'm thinking, I got to have one of those boards. And then I thought you had to have this kind of mic, and that I thought you needed all that and so much more to sound like $1 million studio quality recording. Dude, it's the same thing as a hunting thing. As you know my system now, a little gimmick recorder, 2 handheld microphones that we use. I didn't need to do all that, but it goes right back to what you're saying. When you first get immersed into something, you think you need every single thing, and someone will tell you, dude, you don't need all that. That's what I tell anybody who's getting in podcasting these days. Dude, here's what you need. A gimmick recorder, 2 Shure SM58 mics. Now, you can get bigger, better, more expensive stuff and go all out, but you don't need to, and you're wasting your money.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And I did that same thing with getting into the saltwater fly fishing. I took a fly fishing lesson from the guy at the Orbis shop. And he knew his stuff, and that's for sure, and it was very helpful. But I went to a couple of buddies of mine that actually fly fish, and I said, hey, before I go in there with, a shopping list, tell me, or before I throw my hat in the ring and tell this guy, hey, give me one of everything or whatever you think I need. Tell me what I really need, because I don't, I'm liable to show up for, a fishing trip in a velvet smoking jacket and a top hat or something, because this guy at the fly store told me I had to have that, It's like, yeah, but it's the same thing. Those guys are like, dude, you need a pair of sunglasses and some clippers, and that's it. All the rest of that stuff just gets in the way. Yeah.
Well, Teddy, how's work going for you down there? You busy as hell?
Dude, busy. Yeah, I got to put together a kind of a little presentation tonight. I'm meeting with a customer tomorrow for another one of those piling replacement jobs. Put together some pictures of previous jobs, some drawings from the engineers, try to sell this lady on, what needs to be done. But yeah, dude, I'm going like crazy. It's good.
Well, dude, we're thinking about heading down to the ranch coming up here in a few days. I don't know what your schedule is, but we'd love to see if you make it down.
Dude, I will do the very best I can, but I am,
don't sweat it. But I always like to give you a heads up before headed down that way. And then I need to follow up, and I guess I'll see all the refrigerators. So my refrigerator's in my house. I can put food in it. And is that freezer in my entryway?
No. The freezer that was in the entryway is on your porch, and the bottom freezer portion of your refrigerator freezer is out on the front deck. So
just
all you got to do, yeah. I mean, the whole compartment comes off of those slides. Okay. All you got to do is put those slides back in, shut it, plug it back in, and you're ready to rock and roll.
Okay, but my refrigerator right now is not plugged in.
That is correct.
Can you plug it in before you leave, or do you need to put the bottom end to do that?
No, you need to put the bottom end to do that.
Okay, just leave it like it is.
Yeah.
Well, all right, dude. Hell, it was good catching up with you. I think we got about, 55, 60 minutes. I think we can call it a day, unless you've got any other stories of thrills, chills, and spills for the wonderful people listening to the Steve Austin Show.
Nothing that comes to mind. Nothing on the PG circuit.
Well, here's the thing. You know what? Here's the thing that I take away from this conversation. Obviously, all the headaches, hassles go with having a ranch, but dude, that's the funnest place in the world. So it is what it is. Sometimes there's a lot of cons that come with the pros, but we were able to conduct a podcast that you and I would always do on the Unleashed show. And I think I said damn one time. I said ass a few times, but other than that, it was refreshing to do a podcast and not cuss, because I always take pride in the fact that if I'm around kids or if I'm around women or ladies or at a function where you don't cuss, dude, I have a total G-rated filter. So, dude, I got a PG filter, I got a PG-13 filter, I got a filter for every occasion that I need to filter. And of course, you know, when you and me are just talking, it's completely unfiltered. So
correct.
That's what the Unleashed podcast is. So the fact that we could, you know, shoot the breeze, tell a couple of stories, laugh, and to be able to overcome all those four-letter words, I was impressed with how you handle yourself, Teddy.
Yeah, dude, I'm trying to expand my range.
You don't have to get a big head about it.
Might be in some medicine commercial. You never know.
This guy is not an actor. Teddy, if NyQuil calls you to do a commercial for him, you got to wear that gimmick hunting shirt with the hunting pad on your right-hand shoulder. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get an exact replica of that shirt. I'm going to get the left-handed version to see if you notice it. Boy, if you thought that Komodo tractor messed with your head, that shooting shirt's really going to jack you up.
I got this thing on inside out. What's going on here?
All right, everybody, I sit here talking on Twitter. He is Ted Fowler 361. He's the one-man workforce down at the Broken Skull Ranch. If you're down there in South Texas, in the Rockport, Corpus Christi, Gregory, Portland, all that area, Senton, is Ted Fowler Construction. If you want a man to come out there and do a job right with a lot of quality and pride, he's the man you call, Ted Fowler Construction. Teddy, it was good talking to you.
All right, man, take it easy. Have fun tonight. Tell Chris and I said hey.
All right, everybody, give me the go-home cue. It's time to wrap up his podcast and ride off into the sunset. But before I give you guys something to watch, I want to give a big shout-out to Bill Burr for giving my wife and myself tickets out there to the Comedy Magic Love in Hermosa Beach. Also, Jason Lawhead, a guy I shot a pilot with that didn't get picked up a while back. Got a chance to see him again for 30 minutes. He put on a hell of a damn set to warm up the crowd for Bill. Man, it was great hanging out with both of you guys. Had a great time at the show. It was just flat out awesome. Hey, folks, give you something to watch right here. I know there's a lot of people out there listening to podcasts. Like I said, out there in the UK, Ireland, I think Scotland too, Bill Burr is coming to a town near you. If you want to go see Bill Burr and you've never heard of him, that's hard to believe, but if you've never heard of Bill Burr, this guy's absolutely one of the funniest cats in the world. So just go to YouTube, type in Bill Burr, and basically just anything that has him on it, whether it's one of his specials or his, something from his stand-up act, the guy is just insanely funny. And also on Netflix, he has a show on. It's an animated series. I guess it's called F is for Family. It's very funny. But his stand-up act is world-class. So that is my gift for you, something to watch, something to lighten your spirit and make you laugh your ass off. Man, I thought my head was going to blow off yesterday. I was laughing so goddamn hard. I ain't laughed like that in a long time. I really thought, I thought I was going to be sick. I thought it was going to be sore this month. It was a gut buster. It was a gut-busting performance by Bill Burr. That's the bottom line. Hey, folks, let me wrap this thing up. Now that you got something to watch. Broken Skull IPA all over California at Whole Foods and Total Wines. Or you can go to BrokenSkullRanch.com and click on a link and have it sent to your house. And if you go to BrokenSkullRanch.com, you can get all my T-shirts and the Broken Skull Steve Austin knife from Cold Steel. Yes, there's a link there to order the knife from Cold Steel themselves. Hey, folks, I appreciate all the word-of-mouth advertising you guys are doing on behalf of this podcast. I ain't got one single penny up in this budget for advertising. So the reason this show is heard all over the world is because y'all talk about it all over the world. So thank you very much. And because everybody listens to this show all over the world and you guys keep spreading the word, I'm keeping the show free. I'm not charging you for it. That's right. Everything is free. All of my foul-ups, everything. And I appreciate you guys supporting the sponsors of the Steve Austin Podcast, too, because they're the ones that let me do this for you for free twice a week. So big ups to Audible. Start a 30-day trial and download your first audiobook for free at audible.com/Steve Austin. Thank you to ddpyoga.com/Austin. Get 20% off anything you buy for a limited time only, including the collector's edition DVD and Blu-ray of the Resurrection of Jake the Snake documentary. It's badass. And, of course, a big thank you to Amazon because they've been supporting this podcast since day one. Folks, if you use my Amazon links whenever you're doing any online shopping, Amazon will kick back a couple of bucks to the podcast and it does not cost you anything extra. There's no hidden fees or charges. You can buy whatever you're planning on buying and help out the podcast in the process. You can find my Amazon links by going to PodcastOne.com, clicking on the Killer Deals button in the top right corner of the page, and then hitting the Steve Austin Show button. Got Amazon links for the USA, for UK, for Canada. So bookmark it. You can get to it in one click and help out the show in the process. Hey, folks, keep listening. The 60-second AP News headlines are coming up next. Until then, coming up this Thursday, Bill Burr. My name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.